The billionaire is forever changed when he sees his disabled son dancing with a black waitress. Robert Harrington stood at the edge of the ballroom, his gaze cutting through the opulence surrounding him. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling like glistening icicles, reflecting the golden light that glowed from every corner. This was a charity gala in London, yet his heart felt heavy, a lump forming in his throat. A ordo de excessa e grandeza perdeu tão distante de si mesmo, mas era tudo o que ele sabia. Ele ajustava o chacatecidado, tentando descarregar o inquietado por ele. E de repente, ele teu, o filho de 14 anos, se bem que esperou. Ele estava de dança, sorriso brilhando bar up his face. Evan's wheelchair had been pushed aside, and there he was, feet on the polished marble, swaying with abandon. A girl was spinning him around, her laughter ringing out like a crystal bell. Robert squinted, feeling an unfamiliar tightness in his chest as he realized it was Maya, a waitress he had noticed earlier, deftly balancing trays of champagne. Evan was dancing. Evan. Robert couldn't breathe. This was the child he had always shielded. His disability, a barrier that had kept him safe, but also isolated. A deep fear gripped him, the thought of the world's judgment, their prejudice. Yet here was Evan, his joy radiating like sunlight breaking through dark clouds. The music swelled, a romantic melody enveloping them as the dancers whirled in time. Robert felt eyes on him, whispers humming like a waft of electricity in the air. Can you believe he's dancing? With her? He didn't have to look to know who was speaking. The very elite he had courted and molded were now ready to pounce on the slightest faux pas, ready to make him the subject of ridicule. But watching Evan and Maya lose themselves in the rhythm shifted something inside him. He felt a warmth expanding in his chest, almost as if hope had rooted beneath his heart. Maya twirled Evan, her dark hair catching the light like a curtain of stars. The laughter, a pure, unguarded sound, wrapped around Robert, pulling him closer. In that moment he felt the divide do pós-traumas havia criado, o muro que tinha construído o torno da família, começa a desquebrar. Dane veio às sombras. Familiar da multidão, Clinton Voss, os lábios torcendo para a compaixão dele do desfazer. O coração de Robert bateu. Voss travava em explorar fraquezas e aqui estava a oportunidade perfeita, nestou dentro da própria família. Ele sabia o quanto aquilo poderia ocasionar um tempo dessa, usem-o como frodeiro para escândalo. Quando a música parava, Robert ficou despasso. O mundo que se coesteria Evan era o mesmo mundo que embraçava Maya, e a conexão florescendo por ele falou intrigue. Podendo Kittis deixar de fazer aquilo? O quê? Som, experiência rapinesa, sem apeso carregado de críticas. Não sabia. O coração desmaiava ao sentir uma chama de determinação e medo. Será que ele iria sacrificar a conexão que está se formando entre eles? O momento era apenas esquisito. Ele tudo sentia sem medo, como se estivesse num precipício aguardando que a terra caísse. Hey, antes de continuar com essa história, eu tenho que te dar um pré-avisamento. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube has deleted their subscriptions without warning. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you are still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content. And while you're there, leave that mighty like that helps me. Alote com o algoritmo. E me diz aí nos comentários, qual cidade de você tá vendo? Eu gosto de conhecer todas as pessoas que parte da nossa comunidade. E naquele dia, alote com o algoritmo. E tento mandar um abraço, encontrando o Evan, Tuilha. A música trazia um peso, transbordando a sua mente. Cada beat da música passava por ele. Sinto felicidade. Each swirl of their bodies pulling him deeper into their moment. A beautiful reprieve from the expectations that had always stifled him. But then in a heartbeat, Everything shifted. A piercing shriek shattered the jubilation, cutting through the melody. Gasps erupted from the crowd as a figure collapsed on the marble floor. Clinton Voss, his face drained of color, eyes wide with horror. He clutched his chest, stumbling backward, then crashing to the ground. It was chaos. Robert's heart seized. "Oh God!" His voice was barely a whisper, swallowed by the panic unfolding before him. People recoiled, their laughter replaced by sharp intakes of breath. An icy fear gripped him. Voss, the nemesis he'd always battled, lay lifeless, a victim of a sudden merciless fate. Maya stopped mid-spin, her laughter dying on her lips as she turned to the commotion. Evan's face fell. The joy that had lit him up moments before was now clouded with confusion. "Dad?" he asked, his voice trembling. "Out of here, Evan. Now!" His hands trembled as he grasped his son's shoulders. But Evan hesitated, eyes fixed on the fallen mogul. Bewildered. Why is everyone screaming? Evan's innocence shattered Robert's resolve. It felt wrong to pull him away. But the world was spiraling. "Come on," Robert urged. But it was too late. A paramedic had rushed in, followed by a rumble of growing anxiety from the crowd. Shouts mingled with the blaring sirens of approaching emergency vehicles. The opulence of the gala turned dark, a theater of tragedy unfolding in real time. Shadows loomed larger now, curious guests craning their necks, fingers pointing, murmurs rippling through the throng. "Did you see that? What happened?" Someone gasped behind him. "Heart attack, maybe?" "He looks dead," another voice chimed. Robert's stomach sank. He recognized the implications. Voss was a prominent figure among the elite, and this event had been his domain. And now, his terrible fall from grace would cast Robert in a different light. This wasn't just about a rival collapsing. It was now about the rumors, the whispers, the dirty secrets that could unravel him. Then it happened. Maya stepped closer to the commotion, her instinct to help kicking in. She knelt beside Voss, her hands hovering in the air, uncertain but compelled to act. Robert's breath hitched as he watched. "Maya, don't," he shouted. But she was already on the ground. With eerie calm, she placed her hands on Voss's chest, her body blocking the view of the encroaching crowd. And then, a gasp. Maya's fingers glowed, illuminated by a flash that erupted from Voss's body, an electric blue pulsating light radiating from where she touched him. A collective gasp filled the air. What was happening? Whispers turned to shocked silence, and all eyes shifted in disbelief. "Are you seeing this?" someone murmured. Robert felt his world tilt dangerously. Was this a miracle? A trick? He couldn't comprehend what lay unfolding before him. But suddenly, everything felt impossibly tangled. Who was Maya really? In this swirling chaos, his mind raced with implications, each more terrifying than the last. The music had faded completely, replaced by the pounding of his heart. Evan's grip tightened on his arm, and the innocent boy he thought he knew was wrapped in a story far bigger than either of them. And as Voss's body glowed brightly, Robert knew that nothing would ever be the same again. This night would mark them all, etching a line between the life they knew and the storm that lay ahead. As Voss's body glowed, Robert felt the air thicken with tension. The crowd gasped, eyes wide, mouths frozen in disbelief. Where was this light coming from? It flickered and pulsed, threatening de repetir tudo o que achavam que conheciam. Evan se acostou do braço de Robert, o terror entorrocado no seu rosto. "Dad, o que está acontecendo?" Sua voz tremia, empurrando. Esta não era uma simples gala. Não mais. Confortante plaças das famílias fáceis e de esperado comissa. Maya Celia se entristeceu, sintetiza sua aflição com o personagem. O olhar dela o olhou parado para Voss. A luz grandia-se constantemente subiaço do balcão. Robert's heart ficou nível. Robert, intenso. Agora parece profundo. What did it mean for Evan? For Maya? For him? Could they be tied to this extraordinário phenomenon? Then, como se fosse, os olhos de Voss se abriram e pele caiu como ar. Ele passou dor de voz, uma voz brena com uma brutalidade na boca. Mais confusão, eruptia as gasparias. To frantic whispers. Is he alive? What just happened? But Voss's eyes drifted past Maya, locking onto Robert with a look of sheer panic. Robert, he choked, it's all your fault. His voice cracked, words heavy with accusation. Robert felt a knot twist in his gut. What? What do you mean? But before he could piece anything together, Voss continued, his eyes glinting with desperation. Your son. He's been marked. You don't even know what's been done. With that, the light around Voss flared, illuminating the faces of partygoers. Each expression was a mix of horror and intrigue, caught in the middle of his outrageous claim. What did he mean? Marked. Robert's head spun. Voices echoed. Questions roared. People stepped back, pulling away from Voss as if he were contagious. This is madness, someone shouted. Maya recoiled slightly but remained fixed on Voss, her expression one of profound struggle. What do you mean, marked? She asked, her voice steady even as doubt crept into her eyes. Voss managed a weak laugh, a sound devoid of humor. Your son dances with the future. You don't know the stakes. Robert's breath caught in his throat. This was absurd. The elite were swirling around them, eyes wide, rapt with anticipation. Something primal stirred within him. Anger mixed with terror. A protective surge over Evan. Suddenly, a woman in the crowd shrieked, "What's happening? Is he going to die again?" Her words hung heavy in the air, like a dark promise. Voss struggled to sit up, the glow flickering wildly now. You all don't understand. It's too late. Then a chilling laugh broke free from his lips, echoing off the marble. You think this is just a night of fun and charity? No, the games have begun. And with that, he fixed his gaze on Evan, a sinister smile stretching across his face. You have no idea what paths you've crossed, who you really are. Robert stepped back, panic flooding his veins. The truth of Voss's words felt like a hammer blow. What paths? Who was Evan? Everything he had guarded so fiercely for so long now lay bare before him. The ballroom erupted into chaos, guests fleeing, faces twisted in fear. Robert's world shattered around him like fragile glass. He stood paralyzed, heart hammering. Everything he thought he knew slipped away, suffocated by the enormity of Voss's revelation. Evan was still clutching his arm. Dad, I'm scared. His voice cracked, pulling Robert from the haze. But Robert could only stare through the growing panic, a wild storm of uncertainty swirling in his mind. What had Voss meant? And what darkness was creeping back into their lives, entwining itself with the innocent glow of Evan's dance? Caos eruptiu em torno de Robert. O público surgiu como uma conda de cima para baixo. Evan Grip segurou seu braço, as mãos finas. Pai, eu não entendi. O fininho dançava no ar, inocente procurando. Shh! Just stay close to me. Robert urged, his pulse racing. The accusations spewing from Voss clung to him like a heavy fog. Marked? Paths crossed? The words spun in his mind, but there was no time to grasp their meaning. People were shouting, pushing to get out, frantic to escape the room that had become a crucible of terror. Maya, get back, he called. But she stayed kneeling beside Voss, her expression shifting from determination to panic. It was all too surreal. Then the unbelievable happened. As if responding to Voss's desperate cry, The glow surrounding him pulsed brightly, turning from blue to a fierce red. A crackling energy exploded outward, tearing through the hall like a shockwave. Robert recoiled, and so did Evan, as blinding light swallowed the ballroom. Suddenly, the air thickened, and the lights flickered. The once lavish decor began to warp and twist. Crystal chandeliers shattered above him, sending shards raining down like a shower of glassy stars. A collective scream pierced the air, eyes widened in horror, mouths agape. In that moment of chaos, everything shifted. The red light consumed Voss, seeping into the ground beneath him, and then, in a flash, it leaped towards Maya. She jerked, her body arching as the glow enveloped her, merging with her form as if she had become a vessel for the very essence of the light. "No!" Robert shouted, but it was too late. Maya's eyes widened, and for a brief second, Robert saw something estranho vindo dele. Uma visão antiga com poder terrível. Eis como aparecimento brilhante entre Maya. Foi dele Globos. Robert caiu, escutando Evan instintivamente com o seu corpo, berrando-lhe retendo. Nossa pai também, quando puxou o homem para se escutar. A luz engolimento também doce. Agora, silêncio. Stunned expressions were frozen on faces of the elite guests, once so poised and polished, now wide-eyed and aghast. Among them, Robert felt an unsettling doubt creep into his heart. He searched for Voss, but the space he had occupied was empty, as if he had been erased. What kind of power had just been unleashed? Then, the impossible unfolded. A figure stepped forward from the shadows where Voss had been. But this was no familiar face. It was Evan, standing tall, his form now brimming with an otherworldly glow, the very essence of the light pulsing around him. His eyes shone with an intensity that made Robert's heart lurch. "Evan," Robert's voice came out hoarse, barely a whisper. "Dad, I'm not who you think I am," Evan said, his voice deepening, resonating with something ancient, something powerful. "I've always been here, but now things have changed." Shock flooded Robert's system. "What do you mean?" "Everything you've shielded me from. It's all connected." Voss knew. He was part of it. And now, Evan, Robert's voice broke, his mind racing against the tide of uncertainty. "You have to come back. This isn't you." But it was too late. The dance floor crackled with energy, a weight of change thick in the air. Around them, the guests were stumbling through the festering fear, eyes darting in disbelief. Whispers swelled, accusations formed, fingers pointed, but the focus was on Evan. In that moment, Robert felt the fabric of his life tear open. "What have you done?" he screamed, voice breaking with desperation. The crowd held its breath, a world spiraling into chaos, iluminando segredos há muito enterrados. O que estava por vir era incerte, mas uma verdade pairava sobre o salão. Eles não estavam mais no controle. Os limites de suas vidas tinham se estilhaçado, revelando harsh, raw reality. And as Robert stared into what was now his son's eyes, he knew the dance was far from over. Evan stood there, a vibrant glow radiating from his body, a chilling contrast to the panic swirling around them. Robert's heart pounded in his chest, every beat echoing a deep-rooted fear. What had happened to his son? This was his boy, the same child he had sheltered from a world it seemed he had just stepped into. The guests around them were frozen, as if time itself had stopped. Eyes darted, mouths whispered, each face a canvas of disbelief. "Evan," Robert shouted, urgency lacing his voice. "Please, come back to me." But the glow intensified. Evan's features seemed to change, shifting like a mirage. The familiarity was slipping away. "It's okay, Dad. His voice took on a resonant quality, deeper, layered with something that sent chills down Robert's spine. Then, without warning, the shimmering light surrounding Evan expanded, enveloping everything: the guests, the crumbling grandeur of the ballroom, and the very air they breathed. "Someone do something!" a woman screamed, snapping the crowd from their stupor. In that chaotic moment, the ground beneath them started to tremble. Panic rippled through the guests. People stumbled backward, eyes wide with terror. The chandeliers quivered, dust cascading down like tiny stars. Robert instinctively drew Evan closer, his heart racing. But he felt something shift in the air, a weight that pressed against his chest. Evans. Expressão d'Arcandy. Uma coluna passando pela luz que tinha aparecido nele. Não é o que você pensa. As palavras ficaram em cadeias como machucado no aquecimento. Agora logo! Voss brotou de caído no caos, chorono e pérsimo. Não. Não pode deixar isso tomar controle. O Robert estômago desarmado. O que você tem? Momento de paixão. Não tem saber o que acontecendo. Chovendo algo, alguém. Você nem entende. A energia na casa começou a tempestar, tremendo com poder ruim. Evan olhou para Voss, confusão passando pelo aspecto. Se abriu pela precipitação, cedeu a eles o poder. An unseen tempest. Robert shielded Evan with his own body, the heat wrapping around them like fire. When the light dissipated, something shifted. The ballroom was gone, replaced by an immense void, filled with darkness. People's shocked faces faded into obscurity, their voices drowned in distant echoes. "Dad?" Evan's voice was small, trembling. "Where are we?" Robert blinked, panic surging. "Evan, I don't know. Stay close." But the darkness pulled at him, threatening to swallow them whole. A low, haunting laugh broke through the silence, echoing around them. "Welcome to the true realm," the voice hissed. It dripped with malice, a figure emerging from the shadows, face concealed. "Who are you?" Robert demanded, his heart racing. He could barely hold on to Evan's trembling hand. The figure stepped forward, a sly grin spreading across its face. "I'm here to unearth secrets long buried." "You think you've protected him, Robert? Oh, how wrong you are." A knot twisted in Robert's gut. "What do you mean? What secrets?" "I know who Evan really is." The figure leaned in, voice lowering. "He's not just your son. He's part of something much bigger. Something that has been hidden from you, from the world, a key to a legacy you never wanted." Cold dread swept over Robert. "What legacy? What are you saying?" The figure laughed again, the sound chilling. "Just wait, you'll see." Before he could react, darkness surged forward, and Robert felt his grip on Evan slip. "Evan!" he screamed, panic ripping through him. Then, abruptly, everything went dark. No sound, no flicker of light. Just an emptiness that swallowed them whole. And as Robert struggled against the void, he was left with a singular thought that pierced through the silence. Everything he believed was a lie. The darkness swallowed them, an endless void filled with pressure that wrapped around Robert like a tight vice. His heart raced, panic flaring through him. He could feel Evan's warmth beside him. But the connection felt fragile. In that dreadful silence, Robert shouted, "Evan, are you still there?" A moment passed. Then, a voice echoed back, not just from Evan, but from deep within the void, strong and resonant. "Dad, I am here, but I've changed." "Changed? Evan, what's happening?" Robert's voice cracked, fear clawing at his throat. "I knew something was different," Evan continued, but this time it sounded like many voices, layered over one another. "It's not just the light, Dad. It's everything. It's me." The air shimmered slightly, and from the shadows, a vision emerged, A swirling mist coalesced, taking form. A twisted figure, a monstrous silhouette. Robert's breath hitched as the figure flashed, with a familiar glow. The darkness pulsed around it, giving it life. "I am the echo of what was, an extension of you both," it whispered, each word like a jagged nail scraping along his spine. Shock froze Robert. "What do you mean an extension? Who are you?" The figure stepped closer, and Robert's heart leaped as it shifted. Pained memories flooded back, images of a woman he thought he'd lost forever. "Hello, Robert." The voice emerged like a haunting melody. "It's been a long time." "Lydia?" Robert gasped. "But I thought you were gone." His heart pounded, confusion and disbelief flooding his veins. "Gone? No, dear. I was merely displaced," she replied, her tone chillingly calm. "Like Evan, we are all part of something larger, deeper than you can fathom. And now, Evan é brige." Evan winced, sua face sujeitada na tormenta. "Mãe, fique afastada dela," Robert shouted, instinctively stepping in front of his son. "As emoções são quase soltas, mas em cena de desespero, mesculada de desesperação." "Late, Robert," Lydia continued, her presence unwavering, gaze locked on Evan. "The connection has been forged. The tide cannot be turned." Robert shook his head, trying to clear the fog. "No, I won't let this happen. You're not the same. You can't be." A laugh echoed through the void, sharp and chilling. "You think you know us? You've been searching for the truth, but there are layers that even you cannot see. The legacy of darkness has passed on, and Evan, your son, is caught in its web." "Dad, what is she talking about?" Evan's voice hitched, confusion lacing his words. "I just wanted to dance." And then, before Robert could respond, the air around them flickered, the shadows surged, and suddenly, everything erupted into blinding light again. Reality twisted and warped, pulling Robert and Evan apart. "Evan!" Robert screamed, reaching out. The light fractured into shards, separating them. "Don't leave me. Stay with me." But families were often forged in trials, and Robert felt the grip on his son slip away, the distance stretching into an unbearable chasm. In that instant, something dark and heavy pulsed through the void. Evan's voice called out, strong yet distant. "Dad, I can feel it now. The power is mine, but so is the burden. Stop, just come back." Robert shouted back, frantically, desperately, as the light dimmed. And then, silence fell again. Only the sound of their breaths remained. Darkness cloaked them once more, but now it felt different, more oppressive. Robert stood alone, heart racing, stomach churning. The weight of what had been revealed bore down on him. Was Lydia truly alive? What did it mean for Evan? And what darkness had crept into their lives, threatening to consume everything they held dear? As the shadows writhed, he felt uncertainty ripple through him. No answers awaited him here, just questions spiraling endlessly in the dark. And then, whispered from the shadows, a final chilling phrase echoed in his mind. "The dance has only just begun." With that, dread coiled tight in Robert's chest. This wasn't the end. And as he spiraled into darkness, he realized with growing horror that the true challenge lay ahead. The darkness felt alive, thick like a heavy fog that suffocated Robert. He could barely breathe, his heart thundering in his chest. Where was Evan? The silence was deafening, an echo of his own fears bouncing back at him. And then a flicker pulled his gaze. A soft glow emerged from the shadows. Bright light began to pierce through the overwhelming blackness, illuminating the contours of familiar faces. But something was wrong. They were all distorted, bathed in an unsettling hue. Whispers filled the air, rising and falling like waves. Were they his thoughts or theirs? "Dad," Evan's voice shattered the darkness. bursting forth like a lifeline. "I can feel it," he said, hesitation quivering in his tone. "I feel them, the voices, in my head." Robert's pulse quickened. "What do you mean? What voices?" Panic tightened around his throat. He reached for Evan, his fingers brushing against nothingness. "Evan!" But then the glow danced before him, wrapping around the familiar strands. Something shifted in the air, a powerful force rushing in. It was like a storm, chaotic and unpredictable, pulling him toward the light. And suddenly, he was there, standing at the edge of a vast, lush landscape. Trees towered like giants, their leaves shimmering with an otherworldly brightness. The light enveloped him, swirling like a whirlwind, and before he realized what was happening, he could feel a bond forming. "Evan!" he called, voice strained, heart racing. "Where are you?" Desperation clawed at him as he took a step forward, his mind fogging with confusion. But instead of Evan, a figure emerged from the depths of the glow. Lydia. But this wasn't the Lydia he remembered. There was a ferocity in her gaze, power radiating like sunbeams but laced with shadows. "You should have never come seeking the truth, Robert," she warned, the familiar warmth replaced by an icy chill. "Lydia?" Robert stammered, his heart plummeting. "Is it really you?" "It's not just me," she replied, voice echoing. "A blend de sinceridade e menace." "You don't understand the power within you. The truth is deeper than you think." "What truth?" he demanded, stepping back. The echoes around him tightened, closing him in. "What have you done to Evan?" "That's just it," she said, eyes narrowing. "He's connected, but not as you know him. You thought you shielded him, but it's too late. He's becoming something more, something that could change everything." Before Robert could react, the air shimmered and rippled. A jolt of energy shot through him, an electric blast of realization. As the ground beneath quaked, he felt the shift. Evan materialized suddenly, standing between them, but he was different. Tall, commanding. Enveloping na sema radiante luz. A presença ficou monumental, mas ainda Machado flicorou por seus olhos. "Pai, voz calma pesada, mas é bombono para isso. Ai que entenda. Não sou apenas teu filho, sou parte dela." Something that transcends your understanding. All the air left Robert's lungs, like a deflating balloon. "What are you saying? This isn't you. You can't be part of this." Evan's features contorted, torn between his loyalty to his father and an ancient pull he couldn't ignore. "It's not just choice, it's destiny." The ground shuddered again. A piercing scream echoed, shattering the frail stability of the moment. The shadowy figure from before re-emerged, now a swirling mass of darkness, and rushed toward them with an insatiable hunger. "Join us," it hissed, extending a flickering hand. "Embrace what you were meant to be." "No," Robert shouted, throwing himself in front of Evan. "You're not taking him." An explosive clash erupted, cascading energy, blasting them apart, sending Robert tumbling into the vast expanse. He struggled to regain his feet. When he turned back, he was struck by disbelief. Evan stood, engulfed in light. But it was Lydia who seized his arm, a look of triumph on her face, glimmers of shadows flashing in her eyes. She smiled, wickedly now, revealing the truth that chilled Robert to his core. "You see, Robert, the true legacy isn't just mine, it's all of ours." And as darkness closed in again, Robert realizou com uma clareza angustiante que não se tratava de seu filho ser marcado ou escolhido. Era sobre sua linhagem, entrelaçada de maneiras que ele nunca imaginou. Uma verdade que destruiu tudo o que ele achava que sabia, preparando o palco para o caos. In that instant, Robert could only scream into the void, "Evan! No!" as the connection snapped like a fragile thread, leaving him spiraling into uncertainty, haunted by the weight of unfathomable darkness, and a new reality looming ever closer. The darkness felt alive, thick like a heavy fog that suffocated Robert. He could barely breathe, his heart thundering in his chest. Where was Evan? The silence was deafening, an echo of his own fears bouncing back at him. And then, a flicker bulging-ish, a soft glow emerge fra escuridão. Brilhante começava a penetrar a perplexidade tênebra, iluminando os contornos de familiares. Mas alguma coisa estava errada. Estavam todos distorcidos, banhados de cores inquietantes. Suspiros encheram, air rising and falling like waves. Were they his thoughts or theirs? Dad, Evan's voice shattered the darkness, bursting forth like a lifeline. I can feel it, he said, hesitation quivering in his tone. I feel them, the voices in my head. Robert's pulse quickened. What do you mean? What voices? Panic tightened around his throat. He reached for Evan, his fingers brushing against nothingness. Evan! But then the glow danced before him, wrapping around the familiar strands. Something shifted in the air, a powerful force rushing in. It was like a storm, chaotic and unpredictable, pulling him toward the light. And suddenly, he was there, standing at the edge of a vast, lush landscape. Trees towered like giants, their leaves shimmering with an otherworldly brightness. The light enveloped him, swirling like a whirlwind, and before he realized what was happening, he could feel a bond forming. Evan, he called, voice strained, heart racing. Where are you? Desperation clawed at him as he took a step forward, his mind fogging with confusion. But instead of Evan, a figure emerged from the depths of the glow. Lydia. But this wasn't the Lydia he remembered. There was a ferocity in her gaze, power radiating like sunbeams, but laced with shadows. You should have never come seeking the truth, Robert, she warned. The familiar warmth replaced by an icy chill. Lydia, Robert stammered, his heart plummeting. Is it really you? It's not just me, she replied, voice echoing. A blend of sincerity and menace. You don't understand the power within you. The truth is deeper than you think. What truth? He demanded, stepping back. The echoes around him tightened, closing him in. What have you done to Evan? That's just it, she said, eyes narrowing. He's connected, but not as you know him. You thought you shielded him, but it's too late. He's becoming something more, something that could change everything. Before Robert could react, the air shimmered and rippled. A jolt of energy shot through him, an electric blast of realization. As the ground beneath quaked, he felt the shift. Evan materialized suddenly, standing between them, but he was different, tall, commanding, and enveloped in that same radiant light. His presence felt monumental. But then a shadow flickered in his eyes. Dad, he said, voice calm but heavy with layered emotions. You need to understand, I was born for this, for her. I am not just your son. I'm part of something that transcends your understanding. All the air left Robert's lungs, like a deflating balloon. What are you saying? This isn't you. You can't be part of this. Evan's features contorted, torn between his loyalty to his father and an ancient pull he couldn't ignore. It's not just choice, it's destiny. The ground shuddered again. A piercing scream echoed, shattering the frail stability of the moment. The shadowy figure from before re-emerged, now a swirling mass of darkness, and rushed toward them with an insatiable hunger. Join us, it hissed, extending a flickering hand. Embrace what you were meant to be. No, Robert shouted, throwing himself in front of Evan. You're not taking him. An explosive clash erupted, cascading energy blasting them apart, sending Robert tumbling into the vast expanse. He struggled to regain his feet. When he turned back, he was struck by disbelief. Evan stood, engulfed in light. But it was Lydia who seized his arm, a look of triumph on her face, glimmers of shadows flashing in her eyes. She smiled, wickedly now, revealing the truth that chilled Robert to his core. You see, Robert, the true legacy isn't just mine, it's all of ours. Before Robert could respond, the air shimmered and rippled. A jolt of energy shot through him, an electric blast of realization. As the ground beneath quaked, he felt the shift. Then the lights flickered wildly. A thunderous roar echoed all around, a rift breaking open in the sky above them. The very fabric of reality twisted, and suddenly, all was white noise. In that blinding moment, a face appeared in the heavens, towering and luminous. "Do not fear," the voice rumbled, a mix of power and compassion. "I am the keeper of secrets." Robert's heart raced. "What do you want from us?" he called out, desperate to reclaim control. The great being surveyed them, eyes piercing. "Your destinies have intertwined, but the truth must come forth." Suddenly, he felt a pulling sensação, assim como se diam da barra. O fundo chocou e o ar vibrava com energia. Uma explosão de cor eruptou de Evan e subindo sobre Robert e Lydia, pintando a escuridão com luz. A figura, tatuada e mais incontestavelmente familiar, desceu para ele. "Mãe", disse Robert com a figuração. Era ele o passado de Lydia, reflexão bem profunda. O suavidade está em findíssimo, eternicidade. In this pivotal moment, Robert's world tilted. Every truth he thought he understood unraveled in an instant. Blackness swallowed his vision, and then everything shifted. Was it possible that they were all connected by something deeper, something he had yet to grasp? "No," Robert shouted, but only silence answered. And as he drifted into the unknown, he felt the weight of a new, shocking truth. Every choice they made, and every path they walked, would lead to an end that would forever change them. What had he done? What would they uncover together in the chaos yet to come? Robert stood on the precipice of the unknown, heart racing as the haunting echo of Lydia's voice faded into the abyss. The silhouette of the great being loomed over him, its power radiating through the shimmering light. He felt warmth wash over him, but dread pulled tighter in his chest. "Evan," he shouted, trying to penetrate the darkness that surrounded them. His voice bounced back, swallowed by silence. Panic coursed through him. "Dad, Evan's voice trembled. "I can see them. They want me to join. Don't. You can fight this." The ground beneath them shifted again, rumbling with the energy of their confrontation. As Robert stepped toward Evan, the air thickened. Suddenly, the swirling shadows parted, revealing a blinding bright light bursting from the depths. Robert's breath hitched as the ground cracked open beneath them. He reached for Evan, but a wave of darkness surged through. A rift, swallowing him whole. "No!" Robert screamed, desperation clawing at his throat. His hands reached into the void, grasping at nothing. And then, the light exploded, shattering everything in sight, blindingly bright. Robert shielded his eyes. The air crackled like electricity. Voices. It was a collective cry that rose, a haunting symphony, filled with horror and disbelief. When the light dimmed, Robert staggered back, eyes wide. Instead of the rift or even the luminous landscape, they stood in a familiar old house, a feeling of warmth and comfort flooding over him. It was his childhood home, filled with the scent of freshly baked bread and laughter. Confusion washed over him. "Mom," he whispered, suddenly swallowed with longing. Memories flooded back, each one more vivid than the last. but darkness still clung to the corners of his mind. Not her. A voice broke through, sharp and cold. Robert turned to see a figure step into the room. It was a woman, dressed in a simple white dress, hair cascading like waves, but there was an eerie familiarity. "Who are you?" he stammered, unease bubbling up inside him. The woman smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I am the truth you've avoided. Your family's secret." Robert's heart dropped. "What do you mean?" "You've been living a lie. She never truly died, because she never existed as you believed." The woman stepped closer, her face illuminated by the soft glow that filled the room. "Your mother was." "Never your mother. She was a keeper of this power, a guardian of what Evan is becoming." A chilling silence fell as Robert processed her words. Everything he knew shattered like glass. "That's impossible. I would know. I would feel it." "You know nothing, Robert," she replied. "You have been the blind protector of a legacy you can't fathom. This is why your son is marked. He is the next keeper." An icy hand gripped Robert's heart. "No, you're lying." He stepped back, his world tilting dangerously. He couldn't accept this. Not now. The ground trembled again, and Evan emerged from the shadows, his expression twisted with confusion. "What's happening, Dad?" The woman turned toward Evan, eyes narrowing. "Ah, the chosen one. You'll understand soon. Your true purpose awaits." Robert's heart raced. "Stay away from him." He lunged forward, desperation gripping him. But before he could reach Evan, the woman raised her hand. A violent burst of energy surged through the room. Pain shot through Robert's body. He fell to his knees, gasping for breath, as shadows enveloped him. In that moment of darkness, a memory flickered. A flash from the past, his mother's face, her smile, but behind it, a darkness he had always brushed away. As the memories collided, Robert realized that what he thought he knew about love, family, and sacrifice was a mere shadow. He looked up at Evan, who was standing tall, glowing with an intensity that seemed to draw the rooms. Énergie toward him. "You can't fight this, Dad. I have to embrace it." Evan's voice changed, taking on the cadence of authority. It was like listening to a different person. Robert's heart broke. "Evan, no!" But as the air thickened, an unfurling torrent of light surrounded Evan, pulsing violently. The figure smirked, watching the chaos unfold. "It's time, dear father. The real truth is about to be unveiled." And with that, the world erupted into blinding chaos, light and darkness colliding, shadows twisting and walking into uncharted realms, leaving Robert with one devastating thought. Was this the legacy he had feared, or simply the beginning of something incomprehensible? The blast of light wrapped around them, crackling with raw energy as the shadows twisted and writhed. Robert struggled to stand, heart racing in his chest. "Evan," he cried, but the voice that answered was not the one he knew. "Dad, I'm ready." Evan stood at the center of the fury, a beacon of light. His features glowed with power, radiating an intensity that pushed back against the darkness. It was breathtaking, yet terrifying. "No!" Robert shouted, feeling the tightness in his throat. "You can't do this." But the light surged, a wave of brilliance pouring from Evan that splintered the shadows. The woman, the echo of Lydia, watched with an unsettling calm, her eyes glimmering not with warmth, but with something darker. "You cannot hold him back, Robert. This power is his birthright." No. Robert felt the weight of his son pulling away. He was getting lost in the light. "Evan, listen to me. You are not just a keeper. You're my son. You belong with me, not in this fight." The shadows lunged at Evan, their whispers a sinister choir, beckoning him. He shook his head, a determined look crossing his face. Dad, I need to embrace this. I can feel it. The voices, they're guiding me. A bolt of pain shot through Robert's chest. Evan, he begged, hands trembling. I can't lose you too. In that moment, the brightness intensified, almost blinding Robert. He stepped forward, pushing through the swell of energy, reaching desperately for his son. Please, come back. The rift crackled like lightning, and as if...
Quatro no com, Robert sentiu a energia rata ao interior. Ele ouvia a voz de Evan, forte e distante. Não tem medo. Ele desapareceu com Evan. As vozes das sombras entraram no eletricidade. Assim, embarque com seu Ava. Ameaçaram, desejando lealdade de Evan. Não, Robert gritou, mas a potência surgiu de novo. Ele o sentiu em cada campo do seu ser, uma pegada, uma conexão que surgia entre ele e Evan. Então, silêncio caiu, pesado e profundo. Se censaram. O chão raigou em meio finta. Olhos amplos de confusão. Detrás das correntes de orelha, o keeper de segredos apareceu mais uma vez. Vamos ainda. A paz. Ele deve cercar outro. Até que o homem seja libertado, eu espolharei. Segundo. Isso.
Let the darkness consume Evan, please. Robert's voice broke. He reached out, feeling warmth guide his trembling fingers. Together, we're stronger together. Evan paused, light flickering around him, uncertainty etching his features. I'm scared, Dad. Then let me help you. You're not alone. The words hung in the air, a fragile bridge reaching toward Evan. Slowly, the glow around Evan shimmered, then flickered, wavering between light and shadow. The room pulsed with potential, and the figures of the shadows grew restless. Embrace us, they hissed, shadows dancing around Evan, trying to reclaim their hold. No, Robert shouted again, voice strong. He is my son. He chooses his own destiny. Evan's light flared with newfound strength. I don't have to choose. I can be both. With a force unheard, he drew the light around him, binding it to Robert's unwavering spirit. Together, they became a prism of brilliance, cutting through the shadows, dispelling the darkness that had woven itself into their lives. The shadows shrieked, their forms unraveling into nothingness as the light engulfed them. A feeling of peace settled as the last tendrils of darkness faded away. Robert sank to his knees, breathless, heart racing. The world blurred as the light subsided, revealing Evan standing before him, eyes wide with emotion, his glow dimming, but his spirit strong. Dad, we did it. Evan's voice trembled, filled with a mix of relief and disbelief. Yes, we did. Robert's heart swelled, tears brimming in his eyes. You're safe. We're safe. But the shadows had not vanished entirely. A whisper lingered in the corners of Robert's mind, a reminder of what had almost taken flow. The energy faded, leaving them standing in the glow of dawn, breaking through the remnants of darkness. A new beginning unfolding. What will happen now? Evan asked, holding his father's gaze. I don't know, Robert said softly, feeling an unfamiliar weight lift. But whatever it is, we'll face it together. As they stood there, an unspoken bond tethered them, their destinies now intertwined, the legacy of what was and what could be stretching before them like an open road. And in that moment of stillness, hope flickered within Robert's heart. But as they turned to leave, the shadows whispered one last bitter truth, barely audible. It's not over. And with a gust of wind, they vanished, leaving behind a haunting echo of the unknown. If you love this story and want more like it, now is the time to show your support. Immediately subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories. Press the like button now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the finale. Instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to know about this final. Don't wait 1 second longer to share it. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel with these actions.